Welcome back to the podcast. This episode is going to be a little bit different than previous episodes because I'm going to be talking a lot more about my personal stories and also sharing some tips with you on how to use what I'm talking about to improve your life. And this episode is all about manifestation. And I know that term can sometimes be considered mystical or woo-woo, when really it's just a process of setting clear goals and aligning your thoughts and actions with those goals. So essentially what you're doing is you're focusing on what you want and taking steps to get there. It's taking control of your path rather than leaving things to chance. So really in its simplest form, manifestation is bringing your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, the action you take, and your reality into alignment. So what you believe, how you think, how you feel, how you behave, and the reality you live in is all in alignment. So what I'm going to be doing in this episode is I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my experience with manifestation, how it's improved my life, how it's impacted my life. And I know that this podcast is all about how to be a parent for your teenager. So always take this with a lens of how can I help this make me a better parent for my teenager? And know that when you're working on yourself and you're improving your life, the byproduct of that is that you automatically start becoming a better parent. So you can use what I'm talking about here to improve your relationship with your teen and to become a better parent for your teenager. But you can also use it just to improve the quality of your life. Because when you feel good about yourself and about your life, you're going to automatically show up in a more positive and effective way for your teenager. So I'll be sharing a little bit about my experience with manifestation, how I use it in my life, and I'm going to give you tools so that you can start using it in your life as well. So what I want to share with you first is that I'm feeling a little vulnerable even bringing this up on the podcast. And it's a little bit crazy to me that we are over 100 episodes in on this podcast, and I am just now really talking about manifestation because it's such a big part of my life. And if I'm going to be totally honest with you, even just saying the word manifestation on this podcast, I have this fear that it's going to push a bunch of people away and make them think that I'm, out there and that I'm not grounded in reality and all of the crap that people could possibly think about me. But I'm showing up here today despite that fear because this is something that's impacted my life on a grand scale. Why would I not share it, right? Why would I not share this with you? So if this is for you, great. If it's not, also great. But if you're skeptical, please stick around. Listen, just be open to the possibilities because when you're open to things, you'll be amazed at what will come your way as a result. Okay? So I am doing what I tell my clients to do all of the time, and that is to step into the discomfort and do what feels in alignment for you, to trust your intuition, and that's what I'm doing, even though it feels a little uncomfortable. So let's get into my story. Like I said, this is different. I'm going to be talking about my story, which is a little bit uncomfortable for me, but thank you for bearing with me through this discomfort. Here's my story. So about 7 years ago, I was just really unhappy with my reality. I had stepped away from my comfortable job as a teacher to be home with my girls full time. And at the time I thought, this is exactly what I want. And it was. I really wanted to be home with my girls. But to keep up with the finances and to also keep myself challenged, I was working 3 part-time jobs and none of them paid very well. I didn't love any of them, but they were all kind of allowing me to use my expertise and my skills. But the point was so that I could be home with my kids when they got out of school. So as a result of stepping away from my cushy teacher job, we didn't have finances to work on the house, to fix things up. And my house really just needed maintenance. We needed to paint the exterior of the house, all the cabinets in the kitchen and the bathrooms, they were falling apart. And I felt really stuck and unable to do anything about it. So that was my reality. Then, alongside that, were my thoughts about what was going on. Some of the thoughts I was having was like, we'll never be able to have enough money to fix up the house. This house is falling apart. And I know that I'm focusing a lot on this specific thing, but trust me, you'll understand this down the road, why I keep talking about the house. It'll all come full circle, I promise. So those thoughts were bringing big feelings of lack, the frustration. There was a lot of shame and also some guilt. And my belief at the time was I can either have money or I can have time with my girls. There's no in between. And I believed this to be true at the time. Then my actions were influenced by this belief system. From this lack, I would take on more work. And I would look at what other people were doing and what they had, and I would just feel resentful. I was wondering, why could they renovate their house? Why did they have contractors there fixing things up? Why could they go buy this nice rug and I never could? And then I started learning about manifestation and visualization. And I thought, you know what the heck? I might as well give this a try because what I'm doing right now, it's just not working. So going back to what I mentioned at the very beginning, bringing your beliefs, thoughts, feelings, action, and your reality into alignment. So what I did was, instead of trying to force my reality to change, I started working on my thoughts and beliefs. I started to look at what I did have with gratitude. So let's talk for a minute about gratitude. There's something called the emotional vibration scale. It's a concept, it's often associated with the law of attraction. And the idea is that emotions have different frequencies or vibrations, and those vibrations determine a person's overall state of being and the experiences they attract into their life. So you can look this up. I really recommend you Google it because there's a really nice visual. But on this scale, it typically ranges from lower, heavier, more dense emotions like fear and anger, despair, to higher emotions and lighter emotions like love, joy, and gratitude. So there are different hierarchies of this scale with any number of emotions, but gratitude is usually at the very top. So by feeling gratitude for what I had, instead of tapping into a lower frequency like fear or guilt, I was aligning myself with a higher frequency. And the frequency you emit is the frequency you attract. So that's where I started, with my thoughts and my feelings. Those thoughts that you have over and over and over, and that I had over and over and over, eventually they turn into beliefs. But to take it a step further, what I needed to do was align my actions with my thoughts. So I wasn't just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this and that and this and that. I really stepped into the person who was grateful and who did have what she wanted in her life. And that involved, for me, setting goals and taking inspired action toward these goals. And for me, one way to do this was to write my desired outcome down and repeat it to myself every day. So this was around the time that I read the book, Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. That was the very first book I had ever read on any of that, and my mind was blown. Like, how did I go my whole life without understanding these concepts or even hearing much about it? I don't know. But what I did was I followed her process for the daily declaration. I wrote down all of the things I wanted to bring into my life. Everything from family to health to career and money to experiences I wanted to have. And I read that letter to myself every morning. And I'm recording this on video as well, so if you want to see that on video, I actually have this with me today. I still have it, and I saved it. And what I would do every morning is I would visualize in my mind my desired outcome for 10 minutes. I can still see that visualization today. And I started out just standing outside of my house, looking at my freshly painted house. I walked up to the door, I entered my house, visualizing all of these updated fixtures and decorations. And after walking through the house, I sat down on the couch and I met myself where I was, like in that moment in reality, visualizing an updated kitchen behind me. But here's the kicker of all of it. It wasn't just seeing these things in my mind. What I was doing is tapping into the feeling I was really wanting. And for me, that was contentment. I wanted to tap into that feeling of contentment. And another thing to add about this visualization, when I was doing this, I wasn't actually looking at myself walking in the house. I was feeling myself being the person walking through the house. So when I would look down, I would see my feet, right? So it's not like I'm outside of my body and watching myself. I was inside my body and experiencing it. So like I said, I did this for a month. And then, life took over and I stopped, kind of forgot about it, and I just moved on with my life, still tapping into this gratitude. And I kid you not, within 2 years, everything on that daily declaration came to fruition. Everything. Now, the how may have been different, but the what all came true. And like I said, I still have this piece of paper today. I had lost it for a while, and I remember I found it one day and I looked at it and I was like, whoa, this all came true. And I remember as I was experiencing my life along the way, my mind would remember, oh yeah, this is something I wrote down on that paper. Everything from the exact amount of money I wanted to earn to the type of vacation I wanted to have with my family. One of the things I wrote was, I see myself on an adventurous vacation with Derek and the girls. And that year, we took a trip to Hawaii and just happened to be there during one of the biggest rainstorms in history. We experienced over 50 inches of rain in a 24-hour period, the largest recorded of all time. There were 12 of us, and we all got trapped on the upper unit of our rental. Talk about an adventure. I asked for an adventure. I didn't ask for a flood, but, as it goes, I did get the adventure. And the funny thing is that we all look back on that vacation fondly, even though there was this natural disaster. It really made the trip memorable for us, and we all look back on it fondly, and it was really a great bonding experience for us. We all came through, with kind of an excitement of, guess what we got to experience? So I've experienced this. This is just one story. I've experienced this over and over. And all it takes is aligning yourself with what you want instead of what you don't want, then taking inspired action from there. Now I'm going to dive into the nuts and bolts of manifestation. So the overview is basically the steps are goal setting, visualization, affirmation, and inspired action. So let me start by talking about goal setting. It's really the best place to start because when it comes to manifestation, the important thing is to get clear on what you want. The more clear, the better. So there's this strategy, it's called the 5 F's of goal setting, where you look at 5 areas of your life: family, finances, fitness, friends, and faith. You look at those areas and you set goals from there. You can write a SMART goal if that resonates with you, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Really, you can follow any of the millions of goal-setting strategies. The process doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're clear on what it is you want. And one strategy I use is called a live list. It kind of gets the juices flowing on what I'm wanting to bring into my life. And so basically the process of what you do is you write down 100 things that you want to experience in the next year. And this is a lot harder than you would imagine. But the idea is to just let it be quick, to not overthink it, to just get a piece of paper, write it down. Write things down as you come to mind, even if they seem really far-fetched and out there, like this would never happen. And then what you do is you go back and you break them into 3 categories. One is something that's realistic, like you're certain it's going to happen. The second one is it's definitely possible. So it could happen, but it might take a little bit of work or push. This is where income goals can really be. And the third one is, OMG, this would blow my mind if it happened. So you're not attached to it. There's no pressure to make it happen. So what you're doing here is you're setting this vibration out as I'm intending that this happens in this way or something better. So that leaves space for flexibility. So what I did, just to make it simple for myself, is I had the category realistic as 1, definitely possible was 2, and then OMG, this would blow my mind was 3, and I just numbered them, and I just left it there. So I'm intending that it happens this way or something better. And I still have this list. I look at it all of the time, and what I've been doing is just checking off, and a lot of the ones have happened. I did it about a month ago. A lot of the ones have happened. Some of the 2s have happened, and even a 3 has happened. Like, what? So that is what you do with the goal setting. Like I said, that was just a suggestion, but really the point is you get clear on what it is you want. The next step is visualization. So you're connecting with this vision and feeling the feeling of what it would feel like to have that. And you're feeling that now. And you can do this in all kinds of ways. You can make a vision board. I love to do that. I do it on Canva. They have a bunch of free vision board templates. You just plug in your pictures. You can make an actual physical vision board with pictures and cutouts and magazines and words. You do you. You can draw, you can paint your vision, whatever you want to do. The important thing, though, is to tap into the feeling of having this thing. And it's done energy. It's already done. It's already here. What would it feel like to have this into your life? So you can see it in your mind or on paper, and you feel it. And then you tap into this visualization every day, or most days. You can look at your board, or you can just look at it in your mind. And the next step is affirmation or declaration. So I mentioned that earlier, where you write out what you're wanting to bring into your life as though it's already here. So instead of writing, I want a stronger, more connected relationship with my teenager, it would be, I'm so grateful for this strong and connected relationship I have with my teenager. And it's all through the lens of it's already here, and you're grateful for it. And then it's this or something better, because things don't always pan out the way we thought they would. We're acknowledging that we're flexible with how. And you can also write a letter to yourself from your future self, this self that has achieved the result that you're wanting, and describe in detail what happened. So things like, what did you do? Who were you with? How did you feel when it happened? Always with gratitude for what you have. There is an equation that I like to reference when it comes to manifestation, and that is gratitude for what you have plus gratitude for what is on its way equals magnetism and miraculous life. So what you're going to do is read this affirmation to yourself daily or most days. I'm no perfectionist. I am a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't have to read it every day, okay? You don't. All right, now going back to my story. So like I said, this was 7 years ago, and the part I shared was about that specific experience with manifestation. So since then, I have manifested a brand new custom home, living next door to my parents and my sister on a 20-acre plot of land. And this wasn't even something that would have crossed my mind 7 years ago. It was so far from my reality that it didn't even exist. But that's really great about manifestation, is the possibilities, they're endless. And for me, that meant being open to possibilities and staying flexible enough to go with the flow and allow life to get me where I am now. And so for me, that meant moving 1,000 miles away from the place that I'd lived for 35 years, not because I was running away from that place, but because it was actually pretty great. But I was moving towards something else, something that would be even better. And really that requires following your intuition and taking inspired action along the way. And that's the next step, taking action. So here's where people get confused. They think, I make a vision board and then all these amazing things start happening to me. No. I think that's where manifestation gets a really bad rap, is that they just imagine these woo-woo people are like, I'm just going to think it into an existence. No, you have to do something to bring it into your life. You have to take action, but not just any action. It's action from a place of gratitude. Action that feels good. It might be uncomfortable, but it feels in alignment. It was uncomfortable as heck for me to sell our house and to move to somewhere I'd never lived before and knew no friends. It was so scary, but it felt right at the same time. So it doesn't have to feel good, but it does feel in alignment. So taking action from a place that feels good and calm. So you can start and end the day thinking about your actions. Were they or will they be in alignment with what you are manifesting into your life? Would that future version of you have acted that way or done that thing? That's where thinking about your actions is so important. And bringing it back to parenting, thinking of that future relationship you want with your teen, what you want that to feel like, and then reflecting upon your actions throughout the days. Is this the person who is going to create that relationship? And there's something else I really wanted to share that I think is so helpful here, and that is that sometimes fear can block the progress of manifestation. And so there's something called the Deepest Fear Inventory by Marianne Williamson, where what you do is, you can Google this. I highly recommend just Google it and learn it from her. But in essence, what you do is you write down your one desire. And then you're going to write, I hate and resent and refuse to have blank, whatever that desire is, because I have a deep fear that, or that because I'm unwilling to feel the sensations of feeling blank. So basically what you do is you write down at least 20 fears as fast as you can that are associated with your refusal and resentment of having what you want to claim into your life. So here are some examples of that. I hate and refuse to have a strong connection with my teenager because I have a deep fear of being rejected. Or I'm unwilling to feel the sensations of being left behind when they leave the house. Also remember, if your fears include worries about what other people might do or think or believe, make sure to turn that around so your phrase is an unwillingness to feel the sensations of other people doing that thing. So for example, I have a deep fear that people will judge me and hate me becomes, I have a deep fear that I'm unwilling to feel the sensations of other people judging and hating me. So after you've written down your deepest fear inventory, what you're going to do is make a request for the removal of these fears. And you can speak this out to whatever resonates with you. It can be God, universe, spirit, guides, whatever works for you. And what you say is, I ask that you remove these fears. I release them from my conscious and unconsciousness now. Help me see through the eyes of love. Guide me with direction, creativity, will, and the power to carry it out. Thank you. So that's what you do. You write that down, you remove all of those, and then you can also speak it to a person. And then the only thing that they are supposed to say to you in response is, thank you for sharing. You can write it down, rip it up, you can throw it in the trash, you can burn it safely. So that's a process that can work for a lot of people. And you might be surprised about the fears that come up for you. So I know this is a lot, so I'm going to summarize it all for you so you can end this episode and start this process right away. Step 1, get clear on what you want. Step 2, write an affirmation and read it daily. Step 3, visualize your desired outcome daily. And step 4, take inspired action. Then you just rinse and repeat. And what's so cool is that you'll start to read your affirmation and your brain will acknowledge that the things you're writing are actually happening because your brain wants to be right. And really just by doing this, even if you do it and never follow up with it again, even if you don't read it every day, you've put what you're wanting into the universe. So it's already being magnetized toward you. So have fun with it. Enjoy it. Watch what unfolds. Be open to possibilities. It's super fun for me, and I am really excited to hear how it is for you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.